welcome to another video on PigTube with Chucky. I'm Ariana, this is Chucky, and today's video is all about what you might need to have for a new mini pig. Everything I talk about in this video are things that I use on a daily basis and things that just make my life 100 times easier. Everything I'm going to talk about, it might seem like it's a lot, but I broke it down into categories to make it a little bit easier. And on top of that, I also put the links to every single thing in the description to make it even easier. So hopefully that helps. The first thing that we're going to talk about is just basically what I use just day-to-day living the most frequently. So, for example, with a new pig, you're not going to be going straight into giving them just full reign of the house. So you're going to be limiting their freedom. And what that typically means with a pig is playpens. So I have one small playpen that's in my living room that I use frequently whenever I'm watching TV or playing video games. But then I also have a bigger playpen in my office that I use for training or playtime. It just gives them a little bit more space. You don't need to have playpens everywhere. I would say that if I'm showering or working or if I'm doing yard work or whatever it is, I usually have him in a dog crate. It doesn't have to be a super big dog crate. It's just something that's big enough that you can have a potty area in the back and then a sleeping area in the front. And when we're talking about the playpens, you really want them to be very sturdy, and let me tell you why. Pigs are really, really good problem solvers, and they're really great escape artists. So you want to make sure that your playpen it's not going to fall into pieces and that they can't really lift it up and go underneath. Some people zip tie their playpens together. Some people buy playpens that have attachable bottoms. So there's a lot of options out there, but again, if I'm not watching, he's just in his crate. With baby pigs comes potty training. So I have litter boxes. I have one litter box that just permanently stays in his crate. And then I have another litter box that will move, like I'll just pick it up and move it from one playpen to the other. Some people use pee pads, but I find pee pads to be a little bit more wasteful, where a litter box, as long as you scoop the poop every day, you can reuse it for quite some time. And I'm trying to train Chucky to go to the bathroom outside, so I really just use the litter box for emergencies. I know people don't like litter boxes because they're a little bit messy, but I'll talk about that and how to make it more convenient. What I actually use for my litter box is Eaton's hemp bedding. I love this stuff. It's the only litter that I will ever use. And the reason I like it is because it's not dusty. A lot of litters are super dusty, and for an indoor pig, it just gets really messy. No dust with this one. The other thing I like about this is that it does not have any sort of scent. There's no smell to it, so it's really nice having it in my house because nobody can smell it. I've even asked guests, and they do not smell it. And I like it most importantly because it's super absorbent. It does not, as a brand new baby, I was probably replacing it every 4 or 5 days or so. But now that he's a little bit better, I don't have to replace mine in maybe once every week and a half, once every 2 weeks. So it's super convenient. I will say, being a dog trainer, I've noticed that it can be a little bit of a harder transition to teach them to potty outside when you're using a pee pad. It's not enough of a difference. When you pull it away, a lot of times they'll still go to that area and just pee where the pee pad once was. A litter box is a bigger boundary, so it's a little bit easier for them to connect. The litter box is gone, so then they go outside instead of this thin piece of paper. So I would say definitely use a litter box. From my point of view, it works wonderfully, and I don't want to use it forever anyway, so I think it's great. Plus, very easy to transition outside because you can just do like a handful of litter, sprinkle it in your yard and wherever you want them to go, and they'll just kind of attract to where the litter is. So definitely good. I'll give you advice on how to keep it clean so you don't have to worry about how messy it is. Again, with a baby pig is definitely going to be accidents. So I don't really plan on giving Chucky too much freedom in my house because it's so much carpeting until I know he's reliably potty trained. So in his playpens, what I've basically done, they have these big mats that are water resistant mats that some people use as pee pads that you can put in the washing machine. And I use these washable mats on the floor of each of his pens, so that way if or when he has an accident, it doesn't get onto my floor, it goes straight onto that pad, and then I can easily throw it in the washing machine and it comes out clean, brand new, ready to be used again. It'll be a lot better for your floors, and it's just convenient because you can reuse it. Something else that I have just noticed in day-to-day living with Chucky is that pigs really like to burrow and be cozy when they're sleeping. So in all of his playpens or in his crate, he has lots of blankets. And I went on Amazon and I basically just bought some cheap normal size blankets. However, there was a little bit of a learning curve with this. Let me explain. So they are so into burrowing that basically what happened was he was getting himself tangled up in these blankets. And then he would completely panic at 3 in the morning because he was stuck in his blanket and could not get out. And it was even hard for me to get him out because he was in such a state of panic. So I was like, okay, got to get away from that. And the other issue with the blanket that big was that he had a hard time getting out of it to get in his litter box. So what I did was I bought some of these little teeny tiny blankets, and it came in a pack of 6. I did like these blankets and so did he, but the only issue with those blankets is that when he gets up to go in his litter box, they would be stuck to his back, and then he would bring the blanket in the litter box with him and then pee on it. So that wasn't really going to be a long-term solution for me either. However, what I did figure out is using a big fabric dog bed. This one's fleece. This one's a little dirty. You can fold it in half in their crate, and then basically he can burrow in there and not get stuck. It doesn't follow him into the litter box, and he really likes it. It's really cozy for him and super easy put in the washing machine. So definitely recommend that. As far as it goes with things that I use for him outside, it's not really a lot. Really, when he's outside, he's just exploring and eating grass. So I do have him in a harness right now that is just really meant for him as a baby, and once he's bigger, he'll get a bigger one. But I do have a leash on him when we're outside. I don't really trust him off leash yet, just because he does eat some stuff that he probably shouldn't eat too much of, like acorns. And with a leash, it's really easy for me to pull him away. And I have a pretty spacious yard, so I have him on a leash that is 100 feet long. Seems really obnoxiously long, but it's really nice because then he can have 100 feet to roam and do whatever he wants. But again, if he's eating something he shouldn't, I can easily pull him away. I love that leash. I use it all the time, but you don't need 100 feet of leash. You could even just have a 5-6 foot leash and just walk the yard with them, but I like to give him room to run a little bit if he wants to. Moving into the next category, which is by far his favorite, it's going to be feeding time. So, a couple things with feeding time. The one thing is, what food should you give your pig? I know there's not like a huge variety of pig food out there, but the one food that definitely stands out from the others is called Sharps. And what I love about Sharps is that it is, just by looking at it, you can tell that it is such good quality food. You can see dried up vegetables, it's got a lot more color in it, and a lot of the other generic foods are very bland, and you don't see many vegetables in there, and it's just not as nutritious. So when I found Sharps, I ended up suggesting that food to my friend who has a pig, and her pig was having issues with severe dry skin and even some bald spots, which was then leading to sunburn. So she tried Sharps, and we've got nothing but good things to say about it. Her pig, in the areas that she was bald, started growing really nice hair, and her overall skin condition has improved tremendously. So I definitely recommend Sharps over just like a generic food brand. The other thing that does not really come as a surprise to anybody is that pigs are really messy eaters. So another thing you have to know is that they really need to be hydrated. So many people will put water and food together, including myself, and pigs like to stand in their food. So what I've basically done for Chucky is I'll feed him out of a bowl that's just small enough that he really can't put his feet inside it. As a little tiny boy right now, I just use this reusable like takeout dish, and I like it because it's small enough that he can't stand in it. He doesn't really spill it at all, like he doesn't tip it over, and easy to clean in the dishwasher. When he's full grown, this was gifted to me, he's going to be eating out of this dish, where again, it's kind of like a flat, shallow dish that he can't stand inside of, but it's, you know, enough that he can still drink water and everything there. So I definitely recommend using something like a pie dish. So again, shallow, easy to clean, and it's the least amount of mess, especially if they're outside and their little feet are all dirty, because then now their water is all muddy, and I definitely think this is the easier way to go. If you haven't watched my video on mealtime manners, I definitely recommend checking that out because they can be crazy for food, and that video will change your life. So definitely check that out. As far as it goes with treats, you will be using treats for training and for different toys and activities. I don't see any reason that you would have to buy treats. Pigs love fruits and vegetables. Fruits are a little sugary and can be unhealthy, so I like to do just vegetables. And I will tell you that Chucky just loses his mind over vegetables. I chop up cucumbers and bell peppers and carrots, and he loses his mind. So I know he's very, very happy to be eating those, and they're really hydrating and really healthy. So don't really feel like you have to buy treats. If I'm giving him something that is like drier, I usually will do Cheerios because they're really low calorie. So pretty easy overall. If you have challenges with getting your pig to drink water, Chucky is not a huge water guy, so I usually mix in water with his food, and I also give him vegetables because there's water in those. They're very hydrating. But one of the things I heard from my vet was to get a attachable water bottle, and you can stick it to their playpen or their crate door, and they're more likely to drink out of a bottle than they are to drink out of a bowl. So go ahead and give that a shot if you need to. I've attached that in the description as well. The next topic that we're talking about today is going to be all about grooming. So pigs naturally have very dry skin, which makes them very itchy. So I would say probably once or twice a week, I will lather this little boy up in coconut oil. Now, I'm sure any coconut oil would probably work, but the one I use is Piggy Poo and Crew. And I really like this coconut oil, so does he. He'll actually snack on a little bit while I'm putting it on him. I use just this rag because it's just a little bit messy sometimes. However, Piggy Poo and Crew also has a really great shampoo that I like to use. It smells great and it's really good for his skin. While we're talking about shampoo and bath time, these sponges are great. They're really gentle on their skin and it's really good for the bath. If you're doing a bath in a bathtub, I would put like a yoga mat or a towel on the bottom of the tub because he will totally slip and spin out and it creates an added layer of stress. So definitely use something with grip. But yeah, these sponges, really gentle, easy bath time, and you can like wring the water, squeeze it out, and it just is an easy introduction to the bath. Besides bath time, you are going to want to do a little bit of maintenance outside. Like I said, the coconut oil, which I'll use the coconut oil also just like if I'm having company over because it smells really good. So I'll use the coconut oil to make him nice and shiny and to make him smell good. Other things that promote good hair growth and healthy skin care is brushing them. So this right here is a really soft, long bristle brush, and I'll use this one again just to brush him out and just to help promote good skincare. The other one is a little bit rougher. This is what is called a rice root brush. It's a little bit rougher, but again, great for their skin, and I'll do everything I can to make his skin stay good instead of overly dry and itchy. So definitely recommend these. Lastly, for grooming, I would recommend investing in a Dremel, and it might not be a Dremel for dogs. It has to be a little bit more durable. So it'll actually be a Dremel tool. And I have spoken to a lot of vets, and I will say the hooves tend to be their biggest nightmare. So when you get them as babies, you're going to want to start with the Dremel right away. You can do it while they're sleeping and they don't even know you're doing it. And I've attached that for you, but definitely do the nails when they're young, because the more those grow out as adults, it can become really painful for them. So definitely get a Dremel. Okay. I was going to talk about toys next, but I have a feeling he's going to wig out when I take his favorite toy out, so we're going to talk about cleaning instead. So, with cleaning, there is not much to it. I think there's a stereotype of people who have pigs that they are dirty and gross and it smells bad and all this nonsense, where I have 7 animals living in my house and I don't want it to smell like it. So I wouldn't say that I'm overly clean, but the things I do, they work. So for one, this is something I use a million times a day. This is my hand vac. And I use this thing so much. I think if you were to like build a Sims character of me, you would just put a hand vac in her hand as like an accessory. Because I use this anytime his litter, if I find it somewhere out of the litter box, this will clean it up in 2 seconds. If he brings in dirt or grass, or maybe there's a mess from crumbs when he was eating, again, 2 seconds to clean it up with this. It's chargeable, it's easy to empty, there's filters, it was really affordable on Amazon. I don't know how I would survive without this hand vac. So definitely get a hand vac. As far as it goes with cleaning, like sanitizing or cleaning up an accident, there are 2 sprays that I use the most. The one, I've heard 2 different ways of pronouncing it. The one is Autoban, but the one that I've heard the most, they call it Audubon. So I use that because that cleaning solution will actually break down the enzymes in their urine, and their pee is really potent. It has a really potent smell. So that spray actually helps a lot. And then I will use bleach sprays, but you may not know this, but a pig's sense of smell is 2,000 times better than a human. And when I use a bleach spray, it burns my nose. So I can only imagine what it does to him. I will use a bleach spray if I'm gonna give it time to air out and dry where it doesn't smell anymore. But I typically will use the Audubon because it doesn't really have a crazy harsh smell to it and it dries really fast. The other benefit is that you can put the bleach or the Audubon in your laundry so that if he maybe pees on a blanket or something like that, it will get those tough smells out of the blanket. Works wonderfully. Another trick for that would be using white vinegar and putting that in your laundry, because that also will get rid of any tough odors that are stuck on blankets or bedding. Makes it 1,000 times easier. Like I said, I really try to be as eco-friendly as possible, like with not using pee pads. I try to do the stuff that is the most reusable or washable. So I don't find myself using paper towels that often. With a baby pig, you are going to be cleaning up a lot. So do your wallet a favor and the planet and get a bunch of rags. I have rags or washcloths that are really just used for anything gross with the dogs, with Chucky, maybe my cat's litter box, but those are all easily washable and I can just toss them in a little container in my garage, wash them in the washing machine, and then they're good to go for the next time I need to clean their crate or whatever it is. So it'll definitely be a lot cheaper just to reuse those versus going through paper towels all day long every day. Lastly, what I'd like to talk about is what toys I use or what toys he uses every day. So as a brand new baby, when I first took him home, he had little baby toys that were definitely his favorite. They're basically clip-on baby toys that you can put on their playpen. You can put it on the door of the crate that I really like because whenever he hits his nose on them, they have a really cute little rattle sound. And he played with those a lot when I first got him. In his playpens, it's a little bit more of a cozy environment, so I usually have blankets and some stuffed animals. He does engage in those occasionally, but I will say if you want to engage your pig, the best way to do it is with toys that have treats involved. One of his favorite things are snuffle mats. So I have a really awesome decked out snuffle mat that I've attached that I basically cut cucumbers up into teeny little pieces, and then I hide it in the snuffle mat, and it's really great just to kind of keep his brain stimulated, especially on like a rainy day that we can't go outside. But they're also just really nice because it's a fun way for him to root around. And pigs like to root, which is basically lift stuff up and find stuff with their nose. So snuffle mats are great. You could also do like a do-it-yourself kind of snuffle, or not snuffle, but like a rooting box where you just get a cardboard box and you can fill it up with like crinkled up paper. I use, for my rooting box, I use these cute little rainbow balls that you would see in like a ball pit. And I just hide little chopped up cucumber in there. But like I said, you could definitely make your own rooting box by just putting a bunch of stuff in the box and letting him find it. And his favorite toy, I'm going to grab it and hope he doesn't fly out of this chair. It is a Bobble-Lot. So with this Bobble-Lot, basically what you do, I'm kind of hiding it. Basically what you do with this is you unscrew the top and you can put food in there. I will say the vegetables don't work as well in this because they're wet and they kind of stick on the inside, but there's this little thing here, that's where all the treats hide, and you can pick and choose how open you want this to be based on how challenging you want it to be. I use this outside a lot because he needs more space to kind of like bob this thing back and forth all over the place, but he loves this. And they also have similar toys that are like balls. I think it's called an IQ ball. They're really a dog toy, but you can put their food in there, put them in the yard, and then they'll kind of roll it around and they have to find their food in the grass, and it's a really good way to keep them engaged. In this one, I will use Cheerios, but just because it's a little bit easier for him to get them out, but I don't do a ton, just enough. You really can't go wrong with toys. If there's food involved, they're definitely going to be engaged, and you want your pig to have a well-stimulated brain so that way they are better behaved just in general. So these are all things that I use on a daily basis with Chucky right now. He is a little bit young, so as he gets older and we start leaving the house and going to restaurants or possibly doing therapy work in the future, I'm sure the list of things will change. But for now, this is a really good list of things just to kind of get you started of what you should really have for a new pig. If there's anything that you have questions about, please put it in the comments, and be sure to share this video with anybody who loves pigs or would maybe even want a pig, just so they know strictly, I guess, roughly what to budget for when they get their pig. For now, that's about all I have in this video. I hope that you enjoyed, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and I will see you guys next time in our PigTube channel with whatever we come up with next. Thanks so much for coming. Have a good day. Bye.